قحطاني الفائز في البطولة العالمية للخطابة العامة في 2015.
This one? Can I use this one? Okay. Hello? Good evening, everyone. The next speaker, ladies and gentlemen, is the world champion of public speaking in 2015. He got his award from Toastmasters Internationals, the biggest public speaking organization in the whole world. The next speaker has touched millions of lives with his award-winning speech, The Power of Words. He has spoken in more than 35 countries, gave more than 300 speeches, and he's here for the first time in Egypt to share his story and share his views on entrepreneurship. Please help me warmly welcome Mohammed Qahtani.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Good evening. Fantastic. Now, I want to start with a little bit of an exercise. Those of you who are born in January, February, or March, please stand up. If you are born in January, February, or March, please stand up. Now, I want you to put your hands like this. Put your hands like this. And keep it this way. Not this way, this way. There you go. Those of you who are born in April, May, or June, please stand up. If you are born in April, May, or June, please stand up. Now, I want you to put your hands like this. Those of you who are born in July, August, or September, please stand up. Now, I want you to put your hand like this. Just bite the tip of your, just the tip of your fingers. And finally, those who are born in October, November, December, please stand up. And if you're still standing, then I don't know which month you're born in, but put your hands like this. Great job, everybody. Nobody moves. You see, when I post this photo, I can say that you guys gave me a standing ovation. So now please have a seat. Ladies and gentlemen, yesterday and today you all have walked around and you all have met people who started their own business and sure, struggled at the beginning, but now business owners. And some of you might have asked themselves, what do these people have that you don't have? Anybody want to answer that question? What do these people have that you don't have? Thank you. Absolutely nothing. They're people just like you. So how come they were able to make it, but you couldn't make it? The fact is that you didn't make it yet, but you could. The journey to success, ladies and gentlemen, starts with desire. Raghba. Now, what do we mean by desire? Every human being on this planet has one of four desires. The desire to have money. Who wants to be rich? The desire to be famous. Who wants to be famous? There you go. The desire to be powerful. Who wants to be in charge of people? The desire to be influential. Who wants to change people's lives? Now, first step, ladies and gentlemen, is figure out what is your desire. And it's not a shame if you're after money. It's not a shame if you're after fame. It's not a shame if you're after power. But you have to find out first What do you want in life? Is it money? Is it fame? Is it power? Or is it influence? Step number 1, desire. And once you got that, you move to step number 2, talent. Each one of you here has a superpower. Now, what do I mean by superpower? Something that only you can do. Everybody here can do something that nobody in this entire universe can do like you. The question is, what is that thing? A guy in his 30th birthday sat at home, sad and depressed. And his wife came up to him and he said, "Sweetie, are you okay?" And he said to himself, or like he said to her, he said, "I'm 30 years old. 30 years old. And I have done nothing with my life. If I die tomorrow, nobody would remember who I am." Have you ever felt that way before? Have you ever felt like your life is a waste? You've done like nothing with your life. So his wife said to him, "You know what, sweetie, it's not too late. You can start now." He said, "Yeah, I don't know what to do." I said, "Okay, just start something. Start a business." So he got his money and he threw his money in this business and he worked in his business for a whole year. And a year later, he lost everything. He sat at the same table again, sad and depressed in his birthday. His wife came to him and she said, "Sweetie, are you okay?" He said, "I'm 31 years old and now I'm broke and I still have nothing to show for my life." She said, "Still, it's not too late. It's not just because you failed once, that's it. Do something." So he went to the bank, he got a loan, and he started a second business. And he worked even harder on the second business. And a year later, he lost everything. He sat at the same table again, sad and depressed. "Sweetie, are you okay?" "I'm 32 years old. I'm broke. I'm in debt. And I still have nothing to show for my life." And that's when his wife asked him the question that she should have asked him before. She said, "Well, during these 2 attempts, what have you learned? What is the one thing that you do best?" He said, "Well, I love people. I love to help people, and I'm a good speaker too." So they started brainstorming on something that you could do. She said, "How about being a lawyer?" The guy's broke. He cannot go to school. So he went to the library, he borrowed books, and he studied at home. He entered the bar exam, and he passed. And now he's a lawyer. Now he's helping people. Life is good again. And he was doing it so good that people came up to him and said that, "You know, you should be in politics." He ran for mayor of his city, and he won. And now he's helping people on a larger scale. Years later, he ran for a Senate seat, and he won. And then people put in his head this crazy idea that maybe he should run for the President of the United States. And he did run. And he did win. And he didn't just win. He became the most influential president in the history of the US. That was Abraham Lincoln. So the next time you think that your life is a waste, remember, Abraham Lincoln in his 30th birthday thought the same thing too. But what is your talent? And if you don't know what is your talent, ask those around you. What is the one thing that I can do that nobody can do better than me? And once you find your talent, you move to step number 3, hobby. You have this talent of yours, but you do it as a hobby. You're a person who loves to draw. So maybe when you have time, you just draw something. I see some of you might be bored right now and you're drawing on your notebook. You want to sing, or you love to sing, you have a beautiful voice and you sing in the shower. But it's just a hobby. When you have time, you do it. When you don't have time, it's not a priority. And the problem is, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of people kill their dreams at that phase. They say, "ما يوكل عيش." I can't make something out of it. You see, we are really restricted by the fact that we need to have a job, a paying salary at the end of the month. But you might have something that will enable you to do much more, but you say to yourself, this is not a priority right now. Let me just focus on my job. We're not supposed to be job-oriented people, by the way. We are supposed to be people who make stuff happen, not just do what other people tell us what to do. And to break out of this cycle, we need to move to phase number 4. Allow me to ask you this question. What do you do when you wake up in the morning? Why? No, I mean, like, before you go to work, what do you do? Do you have coffee in the morning? No, I don't like coffee. Really? Okay. That's the one person who I just asked that doesn't like coffee. Anybody here drinks coffee? Okay. What do you do if you wake up late one day and you didn't have time to have your coffee? What happens to you if you don't have your cup of coffee?
Like addiction. It's like addiction.
There is something wrong with you. Why? It's not an addiction, ladies and gentlemen. It's a habit. It became part of who you are. Every morning, I must have my cup of coffee. You can live without the coffee, by the way. But it became a habit that when you don't do it, you feel something is missing. Something is wrong. What about this? How about if the one thing that you love to do the most becomes a habit? What about if you have to do it every single day, otherwise you feel something is missing? So how do you turn your hobby into a habit? There's a rule that says if you practice anything for 21 days consecutive, it becomes a habit. You will not be able to break it. If you smoke for 21 days, you smoke for years. If you go into the gym for 21 days, you'll go every single day after that. And that's what I want from you guys. 21 days. Start today. If you love to read, 21 days. 1 hour every day, I must read something. If you like to play like football or soccer, 21 days. I need to do it every single day. Because once it becomes a habit, it's part of who you are. You will not be able to break. And then, after habit, you enter the difficult phase, turning it into a passion. I want you to remember this. 10% of your money and your time goes into developing this talent that you have. 10% of what you make every month goes into developing yourself. If you like to be a photographer, 10% save it up and buy that expensive camera that you always wanted. 10% of your time and money goes into developing yourself. And in this phase, you have to set yourself a measurable target. Now, what do I mean by a measurable target? Something that you know once you get there, that's what success is for me. Last year, I was speaking in a college. Fresh graduates, they're all engineers. And I asked, what do you want to be in 5 or 10 years from now? And the first one stood up and he said, well, I would like to be a successful engineer. All right, how about you, sir? I would like to be a successful engineer. How about you, ma'am? I would like to be a successful engineer. What does successful engineer even mean? How do you know when you wake up that morning and said, yep, today I'm a successful engineer? There is no measure. And when there is no measure, it's easy for you to quit. In my job, we hired like 12 people last year. And we're having a meeting with the general manager. And the general manager asked him, what do you want from your job here at the company? And these fresh graduates start to give these, cliche answers. I would like to know, can I have a team environment that encourages self-development, that kind of talk. Until one guy stood up and he looked at the general manager and he said, in 10 years, I want to have your job. In 10 years, I want to have your job. And the general manager said, now that's a guy who knows what he wants. So set yourself a target. And never say, I will try. Say, inshallah, I will get there. Because when you say to yourself, I will try to get there, you're giving yourself an excuse to quit when things get a bit too hard. When you say to yourself, one day I will get there, even if life gets difficult, even if you fall more than once, in your mind you already believe that's where you're gonna get. After I won the World Championship of Public Speaking and I came back home, they threw this giant party for me, to honor me, whatever. And they said, come and bring your trophy with you. I said, all right. So I brought the trophy with me. And after my talk, people came up to me to take photos and so on. And this young lady, she's about 12 years old. She came to me and she said, Mr. Qahtani, is it okay if I take a picture with your trophy? Not with me, with my trophy. And I said, yeah, sure, okay. So I gave her a trophy. Would you hand me that piece of bar water? So I handed her the trophy and she stood like this. And she kept posing with it. And I asked her, what the hell are you doing? And I swear to God, this was her answer. She said, I want to get used to it so when I hold it in the future. And she didn't say if I hold it, she said when I hold it in the future. For her, it's already a done deal. I'm going to get this one day. I don't know when, but I will. And that's what we need, ladies and gentlemen. The power of believing in yourself. I see a lot of people who say, well, nobody believes in me. Did you believe in yourself first in order for people to believe in you? And in this journey, you're going to fall more than once. You're going to cry more than once. You're going to lose a lot of money more than once. But every time you fall is a lesson. Every time you fall is a mistake that you will never, ever repeat again. Every time you fall is someone that you will never trust again. So every mistake you go through, you will never do the same mistake again. لا يلدغ مؤمن من جار مرتين. And every mistake you avoid is just one step closer to your journey. And then after years, you reach to the next phase. You achieved your goal. You wanted to be famous, and now everybody knows who you are. You wanted to be rich, now you have millions. You want to be powerful, now you are the CEO of a company. And then a question will linger in your mind. And now what? Allow me to ask you this question. How many of you here graduated college? Do you remember the 4 years? The hard study? Just like I blacked out most of it. But do you remember the hard study, the long hours, the exams? And after 4 years, you graduated and you got that piece of paper that says, now you are a... Have you ever held that piece of paper and thought, I thought like this is going to feel much more, but it doesn't feel as engaging or as interesting. It doesn't feel as an accomplishment. Do you know why it doesn't feel as an accomplishment? Because we fail to celebrate our own successes. We wait for others to say thank you and good job. But sometimes that might not even come. Because the people who are closest to us, they might not share our passion. We might be so passionate about something and achieve something high in it, but those closest to us, they think, yeah, no big deal. After I won the championship, the first person I thought I'm going to call was my dad. So I picked up the phone, like I was in the US, he was in Saudi, time difference, the guy was sleeping. I picked up the phone and I called him and said, Dad? He said, yeah, what? I said, I want to tell you something. Your son is the world champion of public speaking. He said, how much are they paying you? I said, nothing. He said, then why are you calling me? And he hung up the phone. Do I hate my dad? No, I love my dad to death. But I'm sure that we don't share the same passion, which is okay. But sometimes we expect those closest to us to appreciate what we have achieved, and sometimes that appreciation does not come. So what do? Do you remember the 10% I told you about? From that 10%, save some money to give yourself something, to reward yourself. Buy yourself an expensive bag. Buy yourself a car, an expensive watch. You deserve it. You earn it. Treat yourself to something. And then what? What is your next step? If you go to the sea and you watch people who fish, watch those who fish for crabs. You know crabs? When they fish for crabs, they take the crab and they put it in a bucket. The crab is still alive. And they dump as many crabs in this bucket. They don't even bother to close the bucket. Because they know the crab could not escape. Do you know why the crab cannot escape? Because crabs are selfish. What happened inside the bucket is this. A crab will try to climb the wall. Another crab sees him and think, I can use him, climb over him, and reach to the top. And while climbing over the other crab, he pulls the crab down. Another crab pulls him down. And all you have in this bucket is just crabs pulling each other down. And nobody is able to escape this bucket. Why? Because crabs think only about themselves. When you achieve what you want to achieve in life, now it's time for you to reach back and pull someone so they can achieve the same. Offer a helping hand to those who needs it. If you are a businessman who made it successfully, it's not just about you. It's time for you to make your society, your country, a much better place by teaching someone else to achieve something that you have achieved. At the end of the day, we're all gonna die one day. Everybody in this room will die one day. Ask yourself this question: did you die or did you leave this planet a better place just because you were in it? If the answer is no, then with all due respect, what difference between you and an animal who just eat and drinks and sleep and just live for themselves? We're not animals. We're better than that. We think if we offer help to someone else, then we are creating our competition. No. You grow yourself too when you offer a helping hand. But you know, it all boils down to self-belief. If you believe you can achieve something, or if you believe that you cannot achieve it, you're always right. If you think you can do it, you will. If you think you can't, you won't. It's all up in here. 100 years ago, a guy in India, illiterate, he cannot read or write, lived in a very small house. He owns a very tiny farm, and next to his house there's a river. And every morning he goes through the same routine. He wakes up, goes to the river, take care of his business, then jump in the river and clean himself, get dressed and go walk in his farm. And every morning it's the same. One morning, while he was taking care of himself, he was looking for something to wipe himself with. He found a rock, and after he wiped himself with it, he looked at it. The rock is a bit shiny. So he cleans it in the river and he writes to his wife, "Sweetie, I think I found a diamond or something." "Where did you find this?" "Well, it washed up at the side of the river." "Really? You think God sent you a diamond to wipe yourself with? Why don't you just go and do what you do best? Just go and work on your farm." Yes, sometimes those who are closest to us might be the first people to let us down. They might be the first people to not believe in us. He took that piece of rock, walked back to the river to throw it away. Then he stopped. He thought, wait a minute. My wife has been always like this. She always called me stupid and idiot and I'm good for nothing. Why should I believe her? Let me ask my friend Rajneesh. He's a college graduate. He knows what he's doing. So he goes to his friend Rajneesh and he said, I found this rock next to my house. I think it could be a diamond or something. Well, I don't want to burst your bubbles or anything, but diamonds are mostly found in Africa. We're in India. When you find a diamond, usually you dig a very big hole into the ground. This just washed up next to your house. And when you find diamond, you always find it in small, tiny particles. This is a big rock. I'm sorry, but I don't think it's anything. Sometimes we might seek advices. And those who might give us some advices, thinking they're helping us, they're actually pulling us down. He took that piece of rock and he wanted to throw it away again. And he stopped. Wait a minute. Sure, my friend Rajneesh is a knowledgeable person, but he's not a jewelry guy. Maybe I should ask the experts. So he goes to the jewelry market and he asks for the most expert person in there. And they directed him to this guy. He walks in and he gave him the piece of rock. I think this could be a diamond or something. I don't know what to tell you. It's not really clear. Could be not. But guess what? Even hypothetically speaking, in the rare chances that this is a diamond, there isn't anybody in India who could cut this diamond. So even if it is a diamond, it's worthless. Sometimes we think the resources around us cannot help us achieve what we want. Sometimes we blame it on finances or government rules or like whatever. And we think, well, my hands are tied. I can't do anything. He took the rock and he's about to throw the rock again. And he stopped. My wife didn't believe in me. My friend didn't believe in me. Even the experts don't believe in me. But for some reason, I still think this is something. And that's what we need, ladies and gentlemen, the belief. Do you believe or not? This guy, against all odds, he still thinks this piece of rock is worth something. So he goes back to the experts. And he said, you said in India there is nobody who can cut this rock. Then who can cut it? The guy said, well, the closest I can think of is in Japan. He gave him a phone number. So this Indian guy called this Japanese guy. The English is not really good. He's trying to explain to him just keep in mind this is before the internet and all that. So he's trying to explain to him what's going on and about the rock. And the Japanese guy said, well, honestly, I cannot judge. I need to see it for myself. But I'm here to tell you, most likely it's nothing. It's not a diamond. But I cannot judge unless you bring it to me. He's a farmer. He has nothing. Mortgaged his farm, took a loan, and flew to Japan. Got lost in the streets for 3 days until he finally found that expert. Walked up to him and gave him that piece of rock. In my whole life, I've never seen a diamond this big. We'll pay you $20 million for the piece of rock. They gave him $20 million. And they took that piece of rock and they cut out of it a very beautiful pink diamond. And that pink diamond later got sold to the British royal family. That pink diamond right now sits on the Queen Elizabeth's crown. So the next time you see Queen Elizabeth on TV, and you see that crown, and you see that diamond, remember where it was. And all it took is someone to believe. Ladies and gentlemen, impossible simply does not exist. We've been brainwashed to follow certain rules that sometimes they don't apply anymore. I'm listening earlier to the panelists, and one of them said, my hobby is to turn $1 to 50,000. How come he can do it? Can't you? Of course you can. He doesn't have an extra cell in his brain, no. He's built just like you. But he can believe. Can you? Break the chain of thinking that you're only good for a job that pays salary at the end of the month. Find out what is your talent. What is the one thing that you can do that nobody in this world can do better than you? Practice it as a hobby, then turn it as a habit. And once you turn it as a habit, invest money and time to build that habit in you. Whatever it is, build it more, excel at it more, and be prepared to fail more than once. Because the only way that you can appreciate success is after failure. The only way that you can know the road is to make mistakes along the way and avoid them in the future. And once you reach your dream and you achieve whatever you wanted to achieve in life, treat yourself to something. Buy yourself something, you deserve it. And then reach back and help someone. Make a name for yourself. Let people remember who you are, not just about what you have achieved, but what you've given back to people. When that day comes and you die, there will be 3 types of responses. People might say, oh, thank God he's gone. Or they might say, yeah. Or they might say, لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. Which one of these responses are you going to get? I hope it's the third one. Thank you so much for listening.